As you see, October 23rd, 2022, and we'll have just a short presentation on ignorance versus error, and this is by way of introducing the church for people who need an introduction and for people who don't need the introduction, a reminder, because we're always, I think, each of us having to kind of explain ourselves. But you see in parentheses there, one of the guiding lights of our religion, our religious beliefs, that it is better to believe nothing than to believe what is wrong. And of course, this really applies to belief in deities, but it applies generally as well. And this may alter, and this is what we try to do also, alter how we even think about what it is to believe. So how to explain a church of atheists and agnostics? There's our website there, it was on the previous slide as well. Go there, and there's a lot of material you can read about. Well, first of all, we atheists don't believe in gods and angels and demons and all these other things that you see here. So that could kind of be simplified to say atheist and agnostic, but atheists and agnostics, I think, are quite misunderstood in society. You see on the left there, the atheist, the guy opens up a little brochure that they're handing out, and he says it's blank, and they say, yeah, but we're atheists. So this is a misunderstanding that atheists just don't believe or have anything in their heads. That's crazy. Most of us used to be theists, and that is a reason for that. And on the right-hand side, we see, have you heard what may or may not be the word? That's the proselytizers proselytizing that agnostics do. I couldn't find the cartoon that I saw once with a bunch of kind of plan of agnostics burning giant question marks on people's front lawns, but that would have been appropriate too. So to begin with, of course, atheism is not a religion. It's just not, but it's not having a religion either. It's just the absence of the belief in the existence of gods. There are strong and weak versions of this, amounting to, if an atheist were asked, do you believe in God? They might say, which God? Or, there's absolutely no gods of any kind. But as we know, there's not really even a good definition of a god, just some super powerful. It could be a super powerful extraterrestrial, and if we ever did run into a race of people like on Star Trek's Q, they would be God, I suppose. But atheism is not even the rejection of supernaturalism, because there are atheists that can believe in ghosts and other things of the supernatural. How about agnosticism? Well, agnosticism is not believing in that for which there's insufficient evidence. This term was coined by Thomas Henry Huxley, a 19th century British scientist, naturalist, and that's basically the way he put it. And agnosticism, too, it's not a religion, but it's not having a religion. And we'll have a quote from T.H. Huxley in a little bit indicating what he thought about the connection between agnosticism and religion. Both atheism and agnosticism, though, involve the absence of belief in the real existence of gods. The difference really is philosophical rather than theological. Atheists and agnostics, and many godists, too, agree that most gods are fictional. Many conceptions or ideas of God are illogical and or incoherent. So when people, again, ask you, do you believe in God? Well, what are you talking about? People use that word to mean so many different things. But we all think that gods are not necessary to account for objective reality, morality, or minds and reason, and the people who think that God is necessary, those are almost always going to be theists. We freethinkers believe in Clifford's credo, who he wrote an excellent essay back in the 19th century called The Ethics of Belief. It's online, you can look it up, and we've talked about this before, but the nub of the thing is that it is wrong always, everywhere, and for anyone to believe anything on insufficient evidence. So this is a very strong statement of what Huxley said was agnosticism. So we might get to the point of just saying, well, we supernaturalists, we at the Church of Freethought, do not have any supernatural beliefs. We reject all supernatural beliefs. But let's carry that a little further as well. If atheists and agnostics do not have religion, what is that religion? If we have religion, what is it? Well, we say that your religion is simply what you think about these big questions of existence, and in particular of your existence and its purpose and meaning, because there is no escaping one's personal responsibility in this. Interestingly, we'll have to have a talk sometime about big questions. What makes questions big? And it seems like what really makes them big is that they're too much for science to tackle, because they don't involve the analysis of objective evidence. Not that the Big Bang and these where the universe came from are not big questions. Goodness, science has lots of big questions, but the big questions of existence are a little bit different. So here's how John Paul Sartre put it, that each of us is condemned to be free, because once thrown into the world, we are responsible for everything we do. I think free thinkers would pretty much agree with this, and this is a core statement of existentialism. Here's Thomas Paine, who said, "We have it in our power to begin the world over again," and he was talking about in the Americas launching a new nation, but really he did that in everything in his life. He had his own religion, his own way of looking at things, and we each have it in our power as people being thrown into the world to begin the world over again each day when we wake up. And this is also part of what our religious beliefs are. So what is it that you're really trying to do? Are we trying to believe in things? Because it seems like that's what a lot of people are trying to do. They're searching, they're looking for something to believe in. But people don't usually think about an alternative. Maybe we should be trying to not believe in things that may not be true. Let's try really hard not to believe in things that may be wrong. Thomas Jefferson put it, "Ignorance is preferable to error, and he is less remote from the truth who believes nothing than he who believes what is wrong." And so we can boil down our rejection of supernatural beliefs to a kind of general rejection of beliefs in general. But this takes a little bit of thinking in your mind differently about what most people call beliefs. We should believe in as few things as possible. And as I said, that's going to change how you think about belief. If you say, "I believe that Paris is the capital of France," well, take a step back and realize if you've never actually been there and you haven't seen the documents, how do you know Paris is the capital of France? It's better to say everybody believes, or it is said that Paris is the capital of France. Certainly if somebody said Berlin was the capital of France, you'd jump up and say, "No, that's false." You would try to correct them. So believing in as few things as possible means also that it is okay to be content in behaving for now and as if something is true. There's actually a book written called, I believe the title is called As If, and it's about free will. We talk about free will in our discussions a lot as well. Do we have free will? Well, it depends what you mean by free will, but we certainly behave as if we are free to choose. And of course, that was the point of Sartre's statement, that we're thrown into the world condemned to be free. Free will is not necessarily something to be thought of as a wonderful thing. As we saw last time, Thomas Henry Huxley said he would welcome being turned into a kind of clock if he always believed what was right and did what was correct. So we should be asking ourselves as we go through life, could this be right? But also, could this be wrong? And also, what difference does it make? That was the point of the pragmatist, who said that if you believe something, it is a disposition to act. Belief is not just saying, "Oh, I believe this or that." It's a disposition to act. You open a door before you walk through it, which demonstrates your belief that you cannot walk through a solid door. Also, we should always keep in mind there's many more ways of being wrong than of being right. Kind of like thermodynamics, which we've talked about too. There's many more ways of being messy than of being neat and tidy. As a practical matter, it's easier to recognize what is wrong, and as we know, that's one of the key ideas of science and falsification, to try to see where we're wrong, because we can never really know whether we're right. We might discover that we think we're right, but then down the road we think, we didn't quite have it right, that we were wrong in one or another particular. So thinking has it way over belief. That's why we call ourselves a church of free thought. We have to say free because thought, unfortunately, is shackled and limited in too many ways. So it's a reminder that thinking means thinking. It means thinking about whatever you want, asking any questions at all, even if you answer them the way everybody else does, still it's worth thinking about. And as Charles S. Peirce said, he was the one who actually started pragmatism, which he subsequently didn't like the direction that William James took it and renamed it pragmaticism. And this is so true as you go through life. See if you don't notice this. It's so easy to be certain. All you have to do is be sufficiently vague. Oh, yes, I'm certain of the existence of God. But what is God? Where did God come from? Oh, well, let's not talk about that. And remember, we cannot think when we are believing, because that's what thinking means. It means setting aside the beliefs and questioning them. And by the same token, you cannot believe when you're thinking. This is Thomas Henry Huxley talking about his experience, his reading, and his journey through life led him to know that a deep sense of religion was compatible with the entire absence of theology. And also as a scientist, that he realized that the methods of science gave him a resting place independent of authority and tradition. Look to the facts, you could reason about them, and come up with some kind of tentative, yes, maybe this is the way things are. And as he points out, love, the whole idea of what is valuable, what is meaningful, opened up to him a view of the sanctity of human nature and impressed him with a deep sense of responsibility, just like Sartre was to say the following century, we are responsible for our choices and what we do. It doesn't mean you can't undo them and take another course, but we bear the responsibility. Charles Darwin said, of course, T.H. Huxley and he were contemporaries, it's always advisable to perceive clearly our ignorance. I'm not sure that we can really do that, but we should try, and that is what the Church of Freethought strives to do, not just to go bumbling along saying, here's our creed, everybody has to believe this or you're not one of us. Most important and utterly undeniable and consequential truth of existence, this is really, if somebody asks you, well, don't you pray? Yes, you do pray every time you say these three words, I don't know. That is the prayer of a freethinker. Every time you hear somebody say that, we should rejoice, because that is an expression of what we freethinkers are about. As Isaac Asimov said in Science, Eureka is something that gets celebrated, but really the thing that gets you started on the path of discovery, to get you started down the road to learning something new, is to notice something that doesn't quite fit, to something that would make you say, that's funny, that's weird, and that shouldn't be that way. And that should be the way it is in our individual lives too, when you're puzzled by something. That's the little clue that you need to follow and see what new discoveries and new kinds of eurekas you may get to. This is a famous phrase out of Sherlock Holmes, one of the Sherlock Holmes novels. When you've eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. However, you can juxtapose this, and remember, we often say in religion, opposites often are both true. And the opposite of this, in a way, Thomas Edison said, when you've exhausted all the possibilities, remember Sherlock Holmes, he considered all the possibilities. Edison said, remember this, you haven't. And that's the problem. We never consider all the possibilities because we never think of them. We're just not that smart, but that's our task in life as we go along. And this is what I was referring to just a few seconds ago, that the opposite of a trivial truth is plainly false, but the opposite of a profound truth may well be another profound truth. And that, of course, is Niels Bohr. And this is what physics is, especially quantum. So many people are just captivated by this subject of quantum physics because of the oddness and weirdness of it. But we have this every day in our lives, that the opposite of something that's trivial truth, plainly false, but the opposite is another profound truth. We could have another service on that sometime. There's lots of sayings, look before you leap, and he who hesitates is lost. They're both true in their own way. So that's where we are with ignorance versus error, and why we say at the Church of Freethought that it is better to believe nothing than to believe what is wrong. That's one of our key principles. So thank you very much, and good morning. I hope that's something to think about. And if you got the newsletter, I hope you all did. And if you didn't, you go to our website and sign up at the bottom of each page, put your email address down there. And this was the photo that was put up. And I wonder how many of you ever look at that photo and wonder, why did he put that one up? Why am I putting it up now? And who's that guy on the left? Well, that, my friends, is Irish Archbishop James Ussher. According to this guy, who was Archbishop of Ireland in the early 17th century, God created the earth at 6 p.m. on Saturday, October 22nd, 4004 BCE. Now, to us, that's yesterday, but remember, in Judaism, they count the beginning of a day with the evening, and then it goes on through the rest of the day. So this, right now, is still the same day as started yesterday evening. So we'll find online that the creation of the world is either October 23rd or October 22nd. You'll also notice Ussher was born in 1581, and the conversion from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar took place in 1582. So we don't have to do any adjustments based on the change in the calendar, although the change in the calendar took a long time to happen. There were places in the world that did not change over to the Gregorian calendar until the 20th century. In America, in early America, it happened in I think it was 1752, if I'm not mistaken. So the Pope didn't have authority over all the world, and thank goodness still does not have that kind of authority. By the way, Archbishop Ussher calculated a lot more than the exact date on which the world was created. He also said that Monday, November 10th, coming up soon, that's when Adam and Eve were driven out of the Garden of Eden. Anyone recognize that type of car? That's a Plymouth Fury, I'm told, because of course God in His fury drove Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden. So that's what they were riding in when they were driven out. Archbishop Ussher also calculated Noah's flood as 2348 BCE, 1491 as the Exodus from Egypt, 586 when Babylon destroyed Jerusalem, and that 4 BCE was the birth of Jesus. So, I mean, this guy was so smart. You know, they published Bibles that had these dates in it because he figured it out, and that's what everybody believed. How odd that people would believe all those things for so long that were obviously wrong. So go to our website there in the center, top left, our YouTube channel. There's two different, when you go there, there's videos and shows, I think, and there's more things in videos, including a lot of things from, they're not quite as good quality, although thanks to the wonderful work of John whcih, we have those things preserved, and those are really oldies but goodies. And of course, the bottom is our Facebook page. We also have a Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter. We're not going to deluge you with messages, but we do put some things up from time to time. And that's where you can reach us on Facebook, Twitter, and our website. I've always saved the most important slides for last to remind you that our church depends on your continued support. Much appreciated from you all. Here are our principles: reason, enjoyment, appreciation, and love. We had many services that figure all of these things in there, and you see how T.H. Huxley's quote definitely brought in the reason and the love. Not maybe somewhat the enjoyment and appreciation as well, but these are just the common threads, not in any kind of creed that we have, but in our approach to what we take to be religion. But as I said, again, a reminder, Freethought's not free. You can visit and donate at our website. There's a little PayPal button you can click on, or you can just send us a check to the address that's listed there. Our telephone number is no longer operative. For some reason that we lost that from Google Voice, I guess through disuse, but we're not hard to get a hold of. So support your values by supporting the North Texas Church of Freethought. We can do together what none of us can do on our own. Join us in promoting facts and reason and celebrating doubt. We're not about faith, we're about doubt. That's how you get somewhere. Demonstrate your commitment and be the future that you wish to see, as Gandhi said. Melius Facet, our Latin motto, do better. We'll move on with that to question, answer, and discussion. I'd like to know what you all think about this, and I'm always looking for new ways to introduce and talk about what the church means, and if any of you want to share what it means to you, I'm very glad to hear that.